In a quiet harbor where the sea moves slowly against the shore, an old lighthouse still stands, steady and unchanged through the years. Tonight, its keeper begins another calm evening alone by the water, tending to the soft glow of the lamp that guides ships through the night. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of salt and the sound of gentle waves brushing against the rocks. Inside, the light from the lantern touches worn wood and faded papers, marking the rhythm of a peaceful life built around patience and care. This is not a story of noise or haste, but of still moments, simple routines, and quiet purpose. As the night deepens, the warmth of the lighthouse and the calm of the sea merge into silence, inviting the mind to slow, the breath to settle, and the body to rest deeply. Chapter 1. Begin by settling into bed, letting shoulders relax slowly. The night arrives with a gentle quietness that settles over everything, like a slow breath after a long day. The air feels still, the light softens, and the room carries a calm that invites the body to rest. Lying down feels natural now, as if the world itself is asking for stillness. The bed feels comfortable and safe, the sheets smooth beneath the skin, holding warmth that welcomes tired muscles to release. The body begins to unwind, and the shoulders, often tight from the day, ease down with each quiet breath. The chest rises and falls with an easy rhythm, unhurried, natural, and calm. The sounds of the evening become gentle reminders of rest. A faint hum outside, the slow creak of wood, the distant whisper of air moving softly. Everything feels slow now, and the weight of the body sinks deeper into comfort. The neck relaxes, the jaw loosens, and the face feels light, as if all the small efforts of expression have drifted away. The eyelids rest more heavily, not forced, just naturally closing with peace. The mind, once filled with the noise of the day, now turns toward quiet images. A coastline comes into focus, faintly lit by the last of the dusk. The horizon holds a soft glow, neither dark nor bright, and the sea rests in gentle motion, waves folding quietly onto themselves. Near the edge of the water stands a small lighthouse, built from pale grey stone, its surface worn smooth from years of salt and wind. The lighthouse stands steady beside a calm harbour, where the water reflects a few faint points of light. The harbour is still, with only a few soft ripples catching the lantern glow. The world here moves slowly, in balance with the rhythm of the tide. The path leading to the lighthouse is narrow and quiet, made of smooth stones that catch a faint shimmer from the lamp above. The air feels cool and clean, carrying the scent of the ocean, light, sharp, and refreshing. From the small window near the top of the tower, a warm golden glow spills out and touches the waves below. The glow flickers gently, shifting as the lantern inside moves. The wooden steps leading up to the lighthouse door are brushed with light, and their smooth edges show signs of many careful footsteps over the years. A wooden door rests slightly open, allowing a soft breeze to move through, creating a low and steady creak. Inside, the sound changes. The waves grow faint, replaced by the quiet hum of stillness. The lantern sits upon a small table, its flame steady behind a glass cover. The light moves softly over the walls, touching shelves lined with notebooks, a folded map, and a few neatly arranged tools. The keeper of the lighthouse moves with care, each step slow and precise, the rhythm of habit and peace. His hands adjust the lamp, ensuring its glow remains even and constant. He straightens a small stack of papers and sets them aside, his movements calm and unhurried. Every action seems to follow a quiet purpose. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. The night outside may shift and change, but here, everything feels steady. The ocean breathes in the distance, its sound now a calm backdrop to the quiet work inside. The air carries the coolness of the sea, mixing with the faint warmth from the lantern's flame. The lighthouse walls seem to hold the balance. Warmth within, cool air outside, and both blending into a sense of gentle comfort. Breathing becomes easier here. Each inhale gathers the cool freshness of the sea air, and each exhale carries away what remains of the day's tension. The slow rhythm of breath begins to match the sound of the ocean, steady, simple, and soothing. The faint scent of salt lingers in the air, carried through the open window. It blends with the smell of the stone walls and aged wood, creating a calm and familiar atmosphere. A light breeze drifts through, brushing against skin and clothes, cool but not cold. The room feels alive but quiet, filled only with the sounds of the night. A soft crack from the lantern's flame, a distant wave, and the low murmur of the wind moving past the lighthouse glass. The world outside fades into darkness, but inside there is only warmth and rest. In one corner of the room, a small wooden chair sits near a stove. The faint warmth from the metal radiates outward, enough to fill the space with a steady comfort. The chair's surface is smooth from years of use, and its seat holds a lingering trace of heat from the day's fire. The lighthouse keeper rests there now, sitting upright but relaxed, his body leaning slightly toward the warmth. The soft light catches his face, revealing calm features and slow, steady eyes. He doesn't rush to speak or move. The moment asks for stillness. He breathes quietly, hands resting against his knees, feeling the weight of the day lift from him. The rhythm of his breath continues, deep and slow, blending into the hush of the night. The world beyond the lighthouse seems to pause. Even the sea moves, as though careful not to disturb the peace inside. Each small sound feels softer now. The brush of air, the faint tick of the stove, the whisper of the flame. The body begins to grow heavier, limbs resting comfortably, supported by the bed or chair beneath. The keeper reaches for a small book from the shelf beside him. Its cover is worn and soft to the touch, the pages thin and slightly curled at the edges. He opens it carefully, and the faint sound of turning pages joins the room's quiet harmony. His voice begins to fill the space, low and even, every word flowing into the next without haste. The words are simple, unhurried, and gentle, describing quiet days and calm seas, steady routines, and peaceful nights. His tone carries no urgency, only calm attention, each phrase spoken with ease. The voice feels familiar, like part of the lighthouse itself, blending with the ocean's breath and the soft hum of the lantern. Time feels slower now. The boundaries between sound and silence blur. The warmth in the room seems to deepen, and the air feels thick with stillness. The keeper's voice continues, but it fades slightly as the body sinks further into rest. The sound of the sea returns more clearly now, its steady rhythm guiding everything toward peace. The waves move in gentle cycles, each one a quiet reminder of calm repetition and natural balance. The light from the lantern begins to dim as the flame lowers. Shadows stretch softly across the stone walls, their edges fading into the corners of the room. The warmth remains, but it feels softer now, like the gentle weight of a blanket. The keeper closes his book, places it carefully on the table, and watches the last glow of the flame before turning the wick down. The room settles into darkness, holding only a faint trace of light. The sound of the ocean grows fuller now, filling the silence with a slow, steady pulse. Outside, the waves roll and break in the same calm rhythm they always have. The lighthouse stands steady, the air cool and clear around it. Inside, the keeper rests, his eyes closing as he listens to the ocean's constant motion. The night is peaceful, the world balanced between sound and silence, light and shadow, movement and stillness. Every detail in the space holds a quiet calm. The steady air, the warmth of the chair, the scent of the sea, the soft pulse of waves beyond the stone walls. The mind drifts now, gently untying from thought. The body feels heavier, sinking further into comfort. The breathing stays slow, even, and calm, rising and falling like the tide outside. The world narrows to quiet sensations. Warmth, breath, the faint hum of night. The last light fades completely, and darkness fills the room with a kind and peaceful silence. The sound of the ocean continues, steady and soft, guiding everything into stillness. And in that stillness, sleep begins to take shape. Calm, unbroken, and deep. Chapter 2. Imagine a small stone lighthouse standing beside a quiet harbor. There is a special kind of peace that lives in quiet places, the kind that makes the heart slow down and the breath grow deep. Imagine now a calm stretch of coast, where the world moves gently, where the air feels clean, and where time seems to walk instead of run. Along this calm shore stands a small lighthouse built of smooth grey stone. It has weathered many seasons and carries the memory of wind, rain, and sunlight upon its walls. Its foundation rests firmly on rock, surrounded by patches of grass that move softly with the evening breeze. The lighthouse stands beside a harbour that holds still water, clear enough to mirror the pale colours of the sky. Everything around it feels steady, calm, and content to exist as it is. The harbour itself is simple and peaceful. A few wooden boats rest gently against the docks, tied securely with ropes that sway only slightly when the water moves. The surface of the sea ripples in slow, wide motions, catching the fading light of the day and scattering it like quiet reflections. The air smells faintly of salt and driftwood, carrying a freshness that cools the skin. In the distance, gulls glide lazily above the water, their calls soft and unhurried, blending with the natural rhythm of the sea. Nothing feels rushed here. Everything seems to unfold at a pace that invites stillness. The lighthouse stands as the heart of this small harbour. Its shape is simple, built to serve its purpose without excess. The stones that form its walls are smooth to the touch, cool under the evening air, and slightly damp from the mist. The entrance door is made of thick wood, its grain darkened by years of ocean weather. Above it, a small window glows faintly with the golden light of an oil lamp, hinting at warmth inside. A narrow staircase spirals upward from within, leading to a circular room where the lantern resides. The lamp's light reflects off glass panels that have been cleaned and polished with care, ready to send its soft glow across the quiet sea. Around the lighthouse, the land slopes gently toward the harbour's edge. The ground is covered with small stones and patches of short, wind-shaped grass. A narrow path leads to the dock, its surface marked by footprints that have faded with the day's tide. A wooden bench sits nearby, its surface worn smooth by years of use. It faces the open water, offering a place to sit and listen to the steady sounds of the coast, the rhythmic hush of waves, the faint creak of boats, the whisper of air moving past. The scene feels both alive and still, balanced in perfect calm. The sky above the lighthouse holds soft shades of evening. The last traces of daylight fade slowly into cool tones of blue and grey. A few clouds drift across the sky, moving gently with the sea breeze. The first stars begin to appear, small points of silver in the growing dusk. The water reflects them faintly, shimmering with the early signs of night. The lighthouse light begins to brighten now, its soft beam turning slowly across the horizon, touching the surface of the harbour and the edges of the shore. The rotation of the light is slow and measured, a steady motion that adds to the calmness of the evening. Inside the lighthouse, everything feels clean and orderly. The wooden floor is smooth, carrying a faint scent of oil and salt. A small desk stands near the wall, holding a few neatly stacked journals, a cup filled with pencils, and a folded chart of the coast. A single chair rests beside it, slightly angled toward the window, where the last natural light filters through. The sound inside is soft. The low hum of air moving through the cracks of the walls, the faint ticking of a clock, the occasional groan of the old structure settling into the cool night. The warmth of the lamp's flame fills the space, creating a soft glow that wraps the room in quiet comfort. The keeper of the lighthouse moves quietly through this space. His steps are light, his movements careful and deliberate. He checks the wick of the lantern, adjusts the glass, and observes the flame as it steadies. He then turns his gaze outward, through the window, watching the water as it darkens with the approaching night. His expression holds calm concentration, a kind of peace that comes from knowing this quiet duty. The sound of the sea reaches him even here, faint but clear, like a heartbeat beneath the silence. He listens for a moment before returning to his small desk, where he notes the hour and the condition of the air. Every detail of his task carries a sense of purpose, but never urgency. The night gives him time. The harbour continues to rest quietly outside. The waves move slowly, brushing against the rocks with a soft, continuous sound. The boats sway in unison, their ropes stretching and easing with each motion. The lighthouse light continues its slow rotation, reaching across the water and disappearing into the darkness beyond. The reflection of the light glides over the surface of the sea, calm and unbroken. The wind shifts gently, carrying the faint rustle of leaves and the soft clatter of distant shutters. The air cools gradually, wrapping the harbour in a deeper stillness. The keeper takes a moment to sit by the window. He looks out at the vastness of the sea, his thoughts as calm as the water before him. He doesn't speak or move, just breathes and observes the quiet scene. The sound of his breath joins the rhythm of the waves, a steady pattern that feels connected to everything around. He feels the weight of the day lift slowly, replaced by the simple awareness of the present. The world outside is wide and silent, yet comforting in its constancy. The stone walls of the lighthouse seem to hold this peace within them. The light from the lamp paints gentle patterns across the surfaces, shifting slowly as the flame flickers. Shadows move softly, never sharp or sudden. The floor holds warmth from the day's sun, now fading but still pleasant beneath bare feet. The air remains cool but not cold, carrying the clean scent of salt and open water. Every detail in this space, the sound, the light, the air, seems to exist in quiet agreement. Time passes gently. The night deepens. The harbour becomes darker, the sky filled with faint stars reflected in the water below. The light from the lighthouse remains the only bright shape in the distance, turning steadily, marking each quiet moment. The sea continues its soft conversation with the shore, wave after wave arriving and falling away in the same patient rhythm. Inside, the keeper prepares for rest. He tidies the table, places the journal aside, and adjusts the lamp so its glow softens to a lower light. He stands for a moment beside the window, watching the water one last time before sleep. The harbor remains peaceful. The boats are still. The reflection of the lighthouse stretches across the calm surface, shimmering faintly before dissolving into the dark. The night carries no urgency, no noise, only the steady presence of the sea and the quiet hum of the air. When he finally closes his eyes, the silence deepens even more. The stone walls, the sound of the waves, the light circling above, all become part of one soft rhythm that holds the night together. The harbor, the lighthouse, the keeper, and the sea rest as one, untouched by time or thought. The air grows still, the mind quiets completely, and everything settles into calm balance. The lighthouse continues to shine softly through the darkness, keeping its peaceful watch over the sleeping harbor below. Chapter 3. Notice a soft glass lantern glow spreading across wooden steps. There is something deeply peaceful about the quiet moments when light begins to soften the dark. The world outside the lighthouse has already grown still, and only the faint sound of the sea moves through the air. Inside, a single lantern begins to glow, its light gentle and warm as it spreads slowly across the wooden floor. The glass that protects the flame glimmers faintly, catching reflections from the curved walls of the room. The glow reaches outward, filling the space not with brightness, but with calm. It touches each corner of the lighthouse in its own quiet way, settling softly over the steps that wind down toward the entrance. The light feels alive yet patient, as though it understands the rhythm of the night and chooses not to hurry. The wooden steps beneath the lantern show their age in quiet ways. Each plank carries a soft sheen, smooth from years of careful use. The edges are rounded, and the grain of the wood glows faintly under the lantern's touch. The light moves across them in slow waves, shifting slightly with the flicker of the small flame. The lantern rests on a metal hook near the wall, steady and still, its frame warm from the heat it holds. The flame inside moves with quiet grace, rising and falling with each subtle motion of air. Every flicker feels measured, each moment calm. The air carries the scent of burning oil, clean, faint, and soothing. It mixes with the natural smell of wood and salt, creating an atmosphere that feels safe and familiar. The warmth from the lantern fills the stairway with comfort, easing the coolness that lingers from the sea breeze outside. Each shadow that falls across the steps shifts gently, never harsh or sudden. The walls reflect faint patterns, lines of gold that stretch and fade as the light sways. The sound within the lighthouse is soft. The light crackle of the flame, the faint creak of old wood expanding with warmth, and the quiet hum of the ocean beyond the walls. Further down the steps, the glow becomes dimmer, blending into the natural darkness of the lower level. It creates a smooth transition from light to shadow, like the soft end of a day, giving way to night. The wooden railing feels smooth beneath the hand, slightly warm where the light touches it. The air grows cooler near the base of the stairs, carrying with it the dampness of the sea. The lighthouse seems to breathe with quiet balance, warmth at its heart, cool air at its edges. The lantern's glow binds both worlds together, keeping the space alive and gentle. The keeper pauses at the top of the stairs, his eyes tracing the path of the light. He watches how the glow gathers around the steps, steady but never harsh. The light reveals small details, the tiny marks in the wood, the faint outline of tools hanging neatly by the door, the soft texture of rope coiled in the corner. The scene feels ordinary, yet it holds a calm that seems deeper than silence. The keeper's expression remains calm as he adjusts the wick slightly, lowering the flame just enough to let the room rest in a dim, soothing tone. He stands still for a moment, his breathing slow and steady, the rhythm of the sea echoing faintly through the thick stone walls. Outside, the sound of the waves continues its patient song. The night air presses lightly against the windows, cool and steady. The faint shimmer of starlight can be seen beyond the glass, mingling with the reflection of the lantern's glow. From the shore, the lighthouse would appear as a quiet beacon, its soft light spreading gently across the water. But inside, the light feels more intimate, not a signal, but a companion to the stillness of the night. The keeper begins to descend the stairs, his steps slow and deliberate. Each wooden board gives a soft creak, blending naturally with the rhythm of the flame. His shadow stretches long and smooth across the steps, following him in silence. The air feels slightly warmer near the lantern, brushing lightly against his hands as he passes. He glances toward the wall, where the light forms small moving patterns that fade with each step he takes. The lantern's glow follows him for a short while before settling back into stillness. Downstairs, the lower level of the lighthouse rests in partial shadow. The light from above spreads faintly through the open space, just enough to reveal the shape of a table, a few wooden crates, and a single narrow window that faces the sea. The keeper walks toward the window and looks out. The world beyond is calm, the water still, the stars faint, and the horizon barely visible. He listens for a moment to the sound of the tide, and then returns his gaze to the lantern light stretching down the stairs. The glow continues to change, never in abrupt ways, but slowly and naturally, like the motion of the tide itself. It brightens slightly as the flame steadies, then softens again as the air cools. The glass of the lantern fogs faintly from the warmth, blurring the edges of the flame into a soft, golden blur. The shadows it casts move in quiet patterns along the wood, swaying as though the building itself is gently breathing. The warmth that fills the stairway is not just from the flame, but from the sense of stillness it creates, a comfort that seeps quietly into every surface, every breath. The keeper takes a slow seat at the bottom of the stairs, his hands resting loosely in his lap. He doesn't speak, doesn't move much. He simply watches the light and listens to the space around him. The flicker of the lantern seems to speak in its own language, a steady rhythm that feels both ancient and familiar. Each small movement of the flame feels purposeful, and the air vibrates softly with its quiet energy. The keeper's breathing slows until it matches the gentle pulse of the light. The minutes pass without sound or thought. The lantern continues to burn with a slow steadiness, its flame unwavering now. The light on the steps grows more golden as the night deepens, while the shadows grow softer and longer. Every part of the lighthouse seems touched by this gentle glow, the steps, the walls, the floor, and even the air itself, which holds a faint shimmer. The room feels alive in its stillness, not in motion, but in quiet presence. Outside, the wind shifts direction, brushing against the outer stone. The faint sound of it passing through the cracks of the window joins the subtle hum of the flame inside. Both sounds blend into a soothing balance, one from nature, one from the warmth of human care. The keeper leans back slightly, closing his eyes for a moment. He feels the air's cool edge meet the gentle heat from the lantern, and in that balance, a sense of perfect calm settles over him. The wooden steps above hold the last traces of light as the lantern burns lower. The glow no longer reaches the far edges of the room, but it continues to breathe softly across the wood. Each flicker feels like a slow heartbeat, marking time in peace rather than motion. The flame dances once more against the glass, then steadies again, resting into stillness. The air grows quieter, as if listening. Now, the light on the steps fades slightly, but it remains enough to see. The texture of the wood, the faint marks from countless shoes, and the quiet gleam of worn edges, all are revealed in the lantern's gentle touch. The space feels cared for, lived in, and loved through years of simple purpose. The keeper opens his eyes once more, glances at the flame, and watches as it continues to glow. Small but unwavering, the light may be soft, but its presence fills the entire tower, spreading calm with every gentle flicker. The night outside deepens completely now, and the sea hums its steady rhythm. The lantern remains the only light inside, and it continues its quiet work without need for attention. Its glow rests over the wooden steps, over the table, over the air itself, a quiet symbol of peace in motionless space. As time drifts on, the flame burns low, but its warmth never fades. The keeper remains still, surrounded by the calm hum of night, the whisper of the waves, and the soft glass lantern glow that spreads peacefully across the wooden steps, holding the lighthouse and the world around it in silent, perfect rest. Chapter 4. Describe the attendant moving gently, securing the lamp and papers. There is a quiet strength in doing small things with care. Inside the lighthouse, the air holds a gentle stillness as the attendant begins his nightly routine. The world beyond the stone walls is wrapped in calm darkness, broken only by the faint rhythm of the sea and the soft pulse of light from above. Inside, everything feels calm and ordered, waiting for the night to settle fully. The lantern burns softly on the table, its glow steady and warm. Shadows move with ease across the walls, stretching and softening as the flame breathes. The attendant moves through the room with unhurried grace, his motions careful and precise, guided by habit and patience. His hands are steady as he reaches for the lamp. The faint hiss of the flame meets the soft brush of his fingers as he adjusts the wick, ensuring it burns clean and even. The glass of the lantern feels slightly warm beneath his touch, smooth and faintly fogged from the heat inside. He wipes it gently with a small cloth, polishing it until the light shines clearly through. The flame brightens, just enough to illuminate the wooden table beside him, revealing neat stacks of papers, a small brass compass, and a folded cloth map. Everything in the room seems to exist in quiet balance, each object placed with thought and purpose. The attendant leans slightly forward, his movements measured. He secures the lamp's base to the metal ring that holds it firm, twisting it carefully until it sits straight and steady. The lantern gives a soft creak as it settles, its flame flickering only for a moment before returning to stillness. The air around him glows faintly gold, and the faint smell of oil lingers. He steps back to check the alignment of the light, his eyes following its path as it reflects off the glass and reaches outward toward the room's edges. The glow touches the stone walls, revealing the fine lines of their texture, and rests gently over the floor. He moves next to the papers, his steps light against the floorboards. The papers rest beneath a small metal weight, unmoved by the soft breeze that passes through the open window. They hold notes written earlier in the day, weather records, the tide's pattern, and the quiet log of passing ships. The attendant lifts the weight carefully, straightens the edges of the pages, and presses them flat with the palm of his hand. The faint rustle of paper fills the silence for a moment before he sets the weight back down, securing them once more. Each motion is calm and deliberate, done not from urgency, but from quiet duty. The wind outside stirs again, carrying the cool scent of sea air into the room. The curtain by the window shifts slightly, brushing against the stone frame with a soft whisper. The flame responds with a faint movement, but steadies quickly under the glass. The attendant glances toward the window, ensuring it remains open just enough to let the air move through, but not enough to disturb the lamp. The temperature feels balanced now, the warmth from the lantern mixing with the night's freshness, creating a space that feels both alive and restful. He walks slowly to a nearby shelf and retrieves a small oil can. Its metal surface reflects the golden light as he turns it in his hand. He checks the lamp's base once more, adding a few careful drops of oil into the small opening. The faint sound of the liquid settling inside is followed by silence again. He wipes the surface clean with a piece of cloth, then folds the cloth neatly and places it back where it belongs. His gestures carry no waste, no hesitation. Every movement flows naturally into the next, as though the work itself knows how to be done. The papers on the table shift slightly under the weight of the air, and he smooths them again, his fingertips brushing lightly against the textured surface of the pages. The ink has dried long ago, but the faint smell of it still lingers. He glances at the entries, reading a line or two quietly under his breath, noting the calm sea, the wind direction, the time the light was first lit that evening. His voice is barely more than a whisper, blending seamlessly with the soft sounds around him. When he finishes, he closes the journal and ties it gently with a thin piece of string, the knot small but secure. The room remains still, the only movement coming from the gentle sway of the lantern's flame. The attendant steps back again, his eyes scanning the space as though confirming that everything rests as it should. The floorboards beneath his feet are smooth and faintly warm from the glow above. The stone walls hold the faint echo of his motion, a quiet hum that fades quickly into the night. The sound of the waves below rises again, not loud but consistent, a soft rhythm that seems to keep time with his work. He turns toward a small wooden cabinet near the far wall. Opening it slowly, he checks the small supply of wicks and oil stored neatly inside. Each item sits in its proper place, organized and ready for the next evening. He closes the door gently, the click almost imperceptible. Then he walks toward the steps, where another small lamp sits waiting to be lit later in the night. The rhythm of his movement carries an unspoken calm, a sense that there is no rush, no worry, only the quieter satisfaction of simple, steady care. The air shifts again as he moves closer to the open window. Outside, the night deepens, and the horizon glows faintly under the light of the moon. The sea stretches endlessly, its surface reflecting a soft silver tone. The distant hum of water against the rocks creates a peaceful backdrop, blending perfectly with the steady pulse of the lantern's light inside. The attendant's face catches the glow for a moment, his expression calm, eyes slightly tired, but content. He reaches out and secures the latch on the window, adjusting it so the wind flows just right. When he turns back toward the room, the light touches the papers once more, gliding gently across their edges. The small brass weight gleams faintly under the flame, the inked handwriting catching subtle glimmers of light. The scene is quiet, nearly still, yet filled with life in its smallest details. The soft sound of the flame, the whisper of the curtain, the faint rustle of air against stone. The attendant returns to the table, straightens the chair, and rests his hands briefly on the surface, feeling the faint warmth that has gathered there. He breathes in deeply, the scent of oil and salt air filling his lungs. His breathing remains slow, even, and calm, as though the rhythm of the night has become his own. The tasks are nearly finished, and everything is now in order. The lamp is secure, the papers neatly arranged, the air balanced and still. He takes one last look around the room, his gaze lingering on the small flame within the lantern. Its glow remains constant, a quiet reassurance against the darkness outside. He moves to sit by the wall, his posture relaxed but upright. His hands rest easily on his knees as his eyes follow the dance of the flame. There's nothing left to fix or arrange, no noise to break the calm. The silence fills the room in the most natural way, not empty, but whole. The light continues to burn steadily, casting its calm radiance over the wood and stone, while the sea hums softly in the distance. As the moments pass, the air grows stiller. The sound of the waves slows to a faint murmur, and even the lantern's flicker seems to quiet. The attendant's breathing merges with the rhythm of the room, slow, deep, peaceful. He closes his eyes for a moment, resting in the knowledge that all is cared for, all is safe, all is calm. The lamp burns quietly beside him, the papers held in perfect order, and the lighthouse stands strong against the night, a silent guardian wrapped in gentle light and endless peace. Chapter 5. Guide your breath to match the slow ocean's steady pull. There is a moment in every quiet night when the world feels perfectly balanced, when the air holds its breath between motion and stillness. Inside the lighthouse, that moment arrives softly. The room glows faintly from the lantern, and outside, the sound of the ocean fills the silence with calm rhythm. The sea moves with slow precision, never rushing, never stopping, each wave following the next with the patience of time itself. The keeper stands near the open window, listening. The gentle pull of the water draws his attention inward, and soon his own breath begins to follow that same slow pattern. The air moves in, then out, not forced, not hurried, just steady. One quiet motion connecting him to the sea beyond. The sound of the ocean deepens in the distance. Each wave begins as a low whisper, then builds into a soft, rolling sigh before fading back into stillness. The rhythm is easy to follow. A slow inhale as the water rises, a soft exhale as it returns. The air from the open window feels cool against the face, carrying the faint salt of the sea and the clean scent of the night. With every breath, The keeper feels the cool air fill his lungs, then leave again with warmth. His shoulders lower without thought, his chest expands with quiet ease, and his body begins to find its own calm rhythm that matches the water below. The world outside remains constant, the sea steady in its endless movement. The moon sits high above, its light falling softly over the water surface, forming faint silver trails that stretch toward the shore. The waves seem to move in harmony with that light, gentle, smooth, measured. Inside, the air carries that rhythm inward, reaching even the smallest corners of the room. The flame in the lantern flickers slightly, responding to the quiet flow of the air, but never losing its strength. Everything moves together in calm unity. The sea, the light, the breath, and the silence. Each inhalation feels like drawing the sea closer. The sound of it, the scent, the deep calm it carries. Each exhalation feels like releasing everything unnecessary back into the night. The breathing continues without effort now, long and full, then soft and empty, balanced and even. The body grows heavier with each passing breath, sinking deeper into stillness. The chest moves gently beneath the weight of calm, and the sound of breathing joins the ocean's song in quiet harmony. The keeper's hands rest loosely at his sides. His fingers feel the faint chill of the air, while his feet stay warm against the wooden floor. The mixture of cool and warmth creates a comforting balance that mirrors the sea's pull and return. The muscles of his neck and shoulders release one by one, and his face smooths into complete rest. There is no effort in this moment, no thought of what comes next. There is only breath, calm, deep, present, and the steady movement of the ocean outside, guiding him further into stillness. The night continues to unfold slowly. The lighthouse stands strong against the faint wind, its stone walls holding quiet warmth from within. The sound of the waves never changes, only deepens, their pull growing slower, fuller, more even. The keeper can almost feel the rhythm of the water through the ground beneath his feet, as if the entire building breathes with the tide. He closes his eyes and listens more closely. The breath and the sea are now one continuous motion, rise and fall, in and out, without pause or boundary. A faint hum comes from the lantern as the flame shifts slightly, its light stretching across the table, catching the edges of the papers, and then fading back again. The shadows move gently, in time with the keeper's breathing, in time with the sea. The air feels thicker now, filled with warmth and softness. The faint crackle from the lantern joins the quiet melody of the waves, forming a sound that asks nothing but rest. Every small sound in the room seems to breathe. The soft sway of the curtain, the creak of the floorboards, the faint sigh of the sea breeze. The breathing deepens further. Each inhale expands the chest, smooth and wide, like the tide reaching for the shore. Each exhale releases every trace of tension, just as the water falls back to the ocean floor. The keeper's awareness narrows to these movements, simple and rhythmic. The breath feels effortless, like it belongs to the night itself. The cool air carries comfort, and the slow exhale carries peace. The mind grows quieter, no longer tracing thoughts, only following rhythm, the natural, calming rhythm of the sea. Outside, the water shimmers faintly beneath the moonlight. The waves roll with soft consistency, the sound neither loud nor distant. The harbour rests motionless, save for the faint sway of the boats tethered to their moorings. The ropes creak quietly, their movements guided by the same pull that moves the breath inside the tower. Everything connected, the ocean's pulse, the keeper's calm breathing, the sway of the air, shares the same unbroken rhythm. Inside, the lantern's glow begins to soften, dimming as the flame steadies lower. The walls take on a golden hue, the shadows stretching slowly as the light reaches less of the room. Yet the warmth remains, carried through the air by the calm of the moment. The keeper remains by the window, eyes half closed, his body swaying faintly with the rhythm of his breath. He doesn't force the movement. It happens naturally, the same way the sea moves without thought. His heartbeat aligns with the water's rhythm, slow and steady. A faint gust of air moves through the window again, brushing softly against his face. The scent of salt and moisture deepens, cool but clean. He breathes it in fully, holding it for a quiet moment before releasing it in a long, slow sigh. The sound blends seamlessly with the distant sound of the tide. The wind continues, in gentle intervals, never strong, always soft enough to remind him of the vastness outside. The waves seem endless now, stretching far into the distance, moving in their patient cycle beneath the stars. The body continues to settle further into calm. Each breath grows longer, deeper, slower, until the boundary between inhale and exhale almost disappears. The ocean's rhythm carries the keeper's awareness, and everything else fades away. The air inside feels heavy with peace. The sound of the waves becomes the sound of the breath, each rise and fall blending into perfect balance. The world beyond the lighthouse might still move, but here, time has stopped. The light in the lantern flickers one last time before finding perfect stillness. The glow it casts now is soft and low, enough to keep the room warm but dim enough to invite rest. The keeper remains still, eyes closed, his breath aligned with the quiet pulse of the world beyond. The sound of the sea has become slower now, heavier, like a heartbeat before sleep. The air feels denser, and the night carries a deep silence between each wave. The keeper's breathing grows almost silent, as though the body no longer needs to try. Every muscle has surrendered to rest. Every sound has softened into one continuous hum. The faint glimmer of moonlight on the water drifts across the window, joining the last of the lantern's glow. Outside, the ocean continues its pull, gentle, eternal, steady, drawing and releasing, pulling and returning again and again. And in that balance, everything finds its quiet harmony. The sea, the air, the light, and the breath all move together now. There is no boundary between them, only rhythm, only calm. The sound of the waves continues, soft and sure, carrying peace through the night. Inside the lighthouse, the keeper remains still, breathing with the ocean's steady pull, until even the sense of movement fades away, replaced by the deep, endless calm that waits beyond wakefulness. The peace that only arrives when everything moves as one. Chapter 6. Invite the faint salt smell and cool air into presence. There is something timeless and healing about the air that drifts from the sea at night. It carries no noise, no rush, only calm intention. Inside the lighthouse, the keeper opens the small window that faces the harbor, and the air begins to move through the room in quiet, gentle waves. It slips past the frame, cool and clean, wrapping around everything it touches. The first breath of it feels refreshing, light against the skin, and carries with it the faint, unmistakable scent of salt. The ocean's fragrance enters slowly, never overwhelming, settling naturally into the space as though it belongs there. The scent lingers softly, weaving through the air, mixing with the faint aroma of burning oil from the lantern. The combination feels familiar, a meeting of nature and warmth, of ocean wind and human care. Each breath draws in a coolness that seems to travel deeper with every inhale, easing the chest, calming the mind, and quieting the small movements of thought. The keeper stands still, eyes half closed, and allows the sensation to spread throughout the body. The breeze moves through his hair and over his hands, carrying with it a delicate chill that brings the senses alive in the gentlest way. Outside, the world is vast and still. The horizon stretches in an unbroken line where sky and water meet. The sea glows faintly under the moonlight, its surface textured with small ripples that catch the light and release it again. The breeze that moves through the window has traveled far, across open water, untouched and pure. It brings stories of distance and calm, the deep cold of the ocean below, the warmth of daylight long gone, the rhythm of endless waves. It enters the lighthouse like a quiet guest, soft and respectful, blending into the calm that already fills the room. The air moves around the lantern, bending its flame slightly, making it dance for a moment before it steadies again. The faint flicker creates new patterns of light across the walls, soft streaks of gold and shadow that stretch and fade. The sound of the wind against the outer stone joins the low hum of the sea beyond. Both sounds merge into a single, soothing tone, like a whisper that fills the background of silence. The keeper breathes in again, longer this time, allowing the salt air to reach deeper into his lungs. The cool sensation spreads through his body like calm water settling after motion. The scent of salt carries a purity that feels cleansing. It reminds the air inside the lighthouse that it is alive, always moving, always shifting, never heavy or still for long. It touches the wood of the table, the surface of the papers, the stone walls that hold warmth from the lantern. It freshens the space in subtle ways, removing the weight of stillness and replacing it with openness. The coolness that travels through the room makes every breath feel effortless, smooth, and steady. The air seems to guide the body to slow down, to match the quiet rhythm of the sea outside. The keeper moves toward the open window, resting his hand lightly on the frame. The stone feels cold under his fingers, the kind of coolness that comes only from contact with open air. He looks out into the dark, and the faint reflection of the lantern's glow shimmers on the glass. Beyond that, the harbor rests in calm silence. The boats drift barely an inch in the water, their ropes moving with soft creaks. The night carries no noise except for the soft pull of the tide and the whisper of air brushing past the lighthouse walls. The salt scent grows stronger for a moment, then fades into balance again, steady and light. Each breath draws that calm deeper. The cool air feels smooth against the throat, and the exhale leaves in a quiet warmth. The body responds naturally to this rhythm, relaxing the shoulders, softening the chest, and slowing the heart. The air seems to move not only through the lungs, but through the whole space, through every surface, every corner, filling the room with calm energy. The faint sound of the lantern flame continues in the background, a soft crackle that joins the sea breeze in its harmony. The flame flickers slightly as the wind brushes it, but it never falters. The salt smell carries memories of distant waves and open horizons. It feels both ancient and new each time it enters, as if each breath is the ocean's quiet offering of peace. It clings faintly to the keeper's sleeves, to the wood near the window, to the very air he breathes. There is something steadying about it, a reminder of how nature always returns to balance, always finds calm in movement. The keeper lets the thought fade and simply continues breathing, not thinking, not doing, just being. The coolness of the air and the gentle rhythm of the sea become one single presence that fills the lighthouse from floor to ceiling. As the night deepens, the air grows slightly heavier, yet it remains comfortable. The cool breeze comes less often now, but when it does, it feels more deliberate, like a hand brushing softly across the face. The smell of salt remains constant, blending so naturally with the room that it no longer feels separate from it. The lantern light glows lower, and the warmth from it meets the cool air in perfect harmony. The mix creates a soft balance, neither cold nor hot, just right. The flame reflects faintly on the window, creating a second, smaller light that seems to float above the harbor outside. The keeper moves back toward the center of the room. The cool air follows him faintly, wrapping around his movements, brushing gently against the back of his neck. He adjusts the lamp's glass cover, lowers the flame slightly, and listens again. The air shifts against the stone, creating a barely audible sigh that passes quickly. Then silence returns, soft and full, as though even the wind knows to rest now. The keeper breathes again, the salt air, filling his chest with freshness that feels both light and grounding. His body feels settled, his breath steady, his mind clear of every trace of thought. The night outside stretches into deeper calm. The stars now shine fully above the water, their reflections moving with the waves below. The breeze moves one last time through the window, cool and clean, leaving behind the faintest shimmer of salt on the air. Inside, the lighthouse remains wrapped in the balance between light and darkness, warmth and coolness, sound and silence. Every small detail feels complete. The scent, the air, the slow rhythm of breath, the flicker of the flame. The keeper sits near the wall now, his hands resting loosely on his knees. The scent of salt lingers around him, faint but comforting, while the cool air continues its slow drift across the room. His breathing is deep and even, perfectly aligned with the motion of the sea. The lantern burns softly, its glow touching his face, his hands, the papers on the table. The sound of the ocean outside carries through the walls in a low, steady hum that vibrates lightly against the stone. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels distant. The air, the sea, and the light have all found their place. The coolness of the night settles fully into the lighthouse, peaceful and complete. The faint salt smell remains in the air, soft and lingering, like the final note of a song that never quite fades away. It fills the lungs and the room at once, and everything becomes still. The keeper's breathing slows even further. The light flickers quietly, and the sea continues its rhythm beyond the window. The night holds everything in calm balance, the salt air alive yet silent, the cool breeze constant yet gentle, a perfect moment of stillness where all that exists is breath, air, and peace. Chapter 7. Picture a narrow wooden chair warmed by the stove's heat. There is a simple comfort found in quiet warmth, the kind that wraps around the body and eases every thought into rest. Inside the lighthouse, night has deepened, and the air has grown cooler near the stone walls. Yet in the center of the room, a small iron stove glows with steady heat. Its surface radiates warmth, that reaches into every corner, filling the space with a soft, golden calm. Near it, a narrow wooden chair waits, its seat holding the gentle trace of heat that lingers from earlier hours. The chair stands slightly turned toward the stove, positioned as though someone had left it only moments ago, still carrying the warmth of their presence. The chair is plain, unpolished, but solid. Its wood carries the smooth texture of use, worn soft from countless evenings spent beside the fire. The edges are rounded, and the back is slightly curved, shaped by the rhythm of rest. The heat from the stove moves across it, like invisible light, soaking into the wood, making it warm to the touch. The scent of aged timber mixes faintly with the quiet smoke from the stove, creating an atmosphere that feels both grounding and alive. The faint hiss from the stove's vent joins the sound of the sea outside, merging into a single, slow pulse of calm. The air closest to the chair feels different from the rest of the room. It carries a delicate balance, a soft wave of warmth on one side, a gentle coolness on the other. When the breeze from the window passes by, the two temperatures meet and swirl, forming a slow, invisible dance that moves across the space. The keeper steps toward the chair and runs his fingers along the armrest. The surface is warm, smooth, and faintly dry from the heat. He feels the comfort stored within the wood, a quiet invitation to rest, to pause, to simply sit and breathe. He lowers himself into the chair, his weight settling evenly across the seat. The warmth greets him instantly, spreading upward through his body, loosening the tension that lingers in his back and shoulders. The gentle creak of the wood under his weight breaks the silence for a moment before everything settles again. The stove hums quietly, the flame inside moving in slow, steady patterns. The air smells faintly of smoke and iron, grounded and real, mixing with the salt of the ocean air that still drifts through the open window. It is a pure and balanced scent, natural, calm, and deeply familiar. He leans back slightly, allowing the warmth to reach his chest and arms. His hands rest lightly on his thighs, palms open, fingers relaxed. The air from the stove brushes against his face in small waves, while the cool air from the window touches the back of his neck. Together, they form a gentle contrast, a slow meeting of two worlds that create perfect equilibrium. The heat does not burn, it comforts. The coolness does not chill, it refreshes. Every small detail of the moment feels complete, each sensation fitting quietly into place. The soft crackle of the stove continues, steady and low. Inside, the coals shift occasionally, creating faint clicks that echo through the quiet room. The keeper watches as the faint light from the stove reflects off the nearby metal tools, creating tiny flashes of orange and gold. The light flickers across the stone floor and climbs gently along the walls, never reaching the corners, but always present enough to make the space feel alive. The wooden chair seems to hold that light within it, its grain illuminated by the warm glow, its structure almost humming with quiet heat. He closes his eyes for a moment, and the sound of the sea returns more clearly. The waves move with patient rhythm, their motion steady, eternal. The sound blends seamlessly with the warmth, forming an unbroken cycle of comfort. Each inhale brings the faint coolness of the sea air. Each exhale releases warmth into the room. The balance between the two feels effortless. The chair supports him completely, firm but gentle, as though designed to encourage stillness. His breathing slows naturally, deep and calm, in sync with the movement of the ocean beyond the walls. The warmth continues to spread, not in sudden waves, but gradually, a steady, even rise that relaxes the muscles from within. The legs feel heavy, the arms loose, the spine aligned and at ease. The room carries no sharp edges, no sound that disturbs. Even the lantern's flame beside the stove has softened, its glow lowered to a peaceful dimness. The wood beneath his feet feels faintly warm too, as though the heat has seeped down through the boards, spreading quiet comfort into the foundation of the lighthouse itself. The keeper tilts his head slightly toward the stove, watching the slow movement of the flame behind the iron grate. The fire breathes quietly, alive but calm, feeding on its own steady rhythm. The orange light pulses with a soft heartbeat, sometimes brightening, sometimes dimming, always returning to stillness. The faint glow touches his hands and casts long, soft shadows across the floor. The air closest to the stove feels thicker with heat, while the rest of the room holds its cool balance. Together, they create a perfect environment for rest. Warmth to comfort, coolness to ease. The chair holds him like a memory, shaped perfectly to the body that now rests upon it. The warmth seeps deeper, reaching even the core of his stillness. The weight of the day fades completely now, replaced by quiet contentment. The sounds of the sea outside have softened further, their rhythm slower and lower, as though the entire ocean is preparing for sleep. The faint clatter of the stove's inner metal fades too, leaving only a soft hum. The warmth continues to radiate in waves that are barely noticeable but deeply felt. He shifts slightly, not out of need, but instinct. The chair adjusts beneath him with a soft creak, a sound that fits into the room's gentle rhythm. The flame flickers briefly in response to a passing breeze from the window, but steadies again almost immediately. The light that touches the keeper's face now feels softer, more golden. His breathing remains even, long, quiet, and peaceful. The air between him and the stove vibrates faintly, filled with unseen warmth. Each breath he takes carries a trace of that heat, spreading through his chest, down his arms, and into the calm of his body. Time loses meaning in moments like this. There are no clocks, no thoughts of what comes next. Only the steady warmth of the stove, the weight of the chair beneath him, and the soft rhythm of the sea beyond. The air feels alive, yet still. Every sound, every movement, every breath seems part of a quiet balance. The keeper opens his eyes briefly to watch the final coal inside the stove shift and glow brighter for a second before returning to its steady hue. The warmth it releases moves across the room in invisible waves, surrounding everything in its soft embrace. The chair continues to hold him in quiet comfort. The surface of the wood is no longer just warm, but perfectly matched to the body's temperature, as though it has learned the rhythm of rest. The air from the stove grows slower, its sound softer, yet the heat remains constant. The smell of wood and iron still lingers, gentle and familiar. The faint scent of salt from the sea lingers too, blending with the warmth to create an air that feels pure and soothing. The night outside deepens further, the stars faintly visible through the narrow window. He closes his eyes again, and the sounds of the world fade into one. The hum of the stove, the whisper of the sea, and the slow rhythm of his breathing. Everything has come together in harmony, and nothing feels separate anymore. The chair, the warmth, the air, the flame, all exist within the same quiet moment. The lighthouse holds its silence. the night holds its calm, and the keeper, sitting in the narrow wooden chair warmed by the stove's heat, drifts deeper into the stillness that comes only when everything in life slows to peace. Chapter 8. Settle your hands along your sides, feeling steady and heavy. There comes a point in every long, quiet night when the body naturally begins to rest deeper, when even the air feels slower and softer. Inside the lighthouse, that stillness has arrived. The light from the lantern glows faintly against the walls, steady and gentle. The stove hums with a low, even warmth that spreads throughout the room. The ocean outside continues its calm rhythm, the sound of its waves merging with the quiet pulse of breath. Everything in this moment feels balanced, grounded, complete. The keeper shifts slightly, finding a more comfortable position, and allows his hands to come to rest by his sides. The motion is small, but it carries meaning, a signal that the body is ready to release what remains of the day and sink into deep, peaceful rest. The hands rest naturally against the surface beneath them, palms relaxed, fingers loose. The weight of them feels real and steady, grounding the body to the present moment. The warmth from the stove and the cool air from the open window meet at this still point, wrapping the keeper in a quiet balance. Each breath deepens, slow and even, moving through the chest and out again in rhythm with the distant sea. The muscles in the arms grow heavy, but not with strain, with the simple, satisfying heaviness of relaxation. It feels as if the body is slowly remembering how to rest fully, how to trust the surface that supports it, how to let go of holding itself upright. The soft glow from the lantern casts a faint shimmer across his sleeves, tracing the curve of his hands where they lie. The shadows move only slightly, following the gentle rhythm of the light. There is no need to move now. The body has settled into its natural position, comfortable and complete. The heartbeat slows to match the quiet rhythm of the waves, and each pulse feels in harmony with the calm air surrounding him. The weight of the hands against the surface brings awareness to stillness itself, a calm that feels physical, almost tangible. The warmth that fills the room continues to drift evenly, never too strong, never too faint. It settles over the skin, gentle and constant. The air smells faintly of the sea, mixed with traces of wood and iron. It is a scent that belongs to the lighthouse, a clean and quiet mixture that has grown familiar over the years. The keeper breathes it in, the scent grounding him further in the moment. His arms feel heavy now, his shoulders loose, and his breathing deeper than before. There is no tension left anywhere, only the slow, soothing rhythm of breath and heartbeat blending together. The sound of the ocean outside continues its endless motion, but it feels softer now, as if heard through layers of calm air. The steady pull and retreat of the tide form a background that needs no attention, only quiet recognition. The keeper's hands feel as though they've become part of the surface beneath them, the warmth of skin blending with the faint coolness of the wood. The weight feels right, natural, balanced. The body seems to be sinking slightly, not in a fall, but in a gentle settling, the kind that happens when there's no effort left to give. The light from the lantern begins to dim slightly, its glow now softer and lower. The golden hue fades into warmer shades of amber that touch the stone walls like slow-moving breath. The keeper's fingers twitch faintly, adjusting once before becoming completely still again. The stillness in his hands mirrors the stillness in his mind. Thoughts have grown thin and quiet, floating at a distance without form or voice. Each breath carries less and less weight, and the body responds with deeper relaxation. The space between inhale and exhale grows longer, quieter, more peaceful. The stove gives a soft, low sound as the coals shift. The faint crackle joins the steady sound of the waves outside, forming a rhythm that moves through the air like a heartbeat, too slow to measure. The keeper feels warmth across his chest and along his arms. The heat seeps through the fabric of his sleeves, soft and even, until his skin holds the same temperature as the air. His palms rest easily against the surface beneath them, and the faint vibration of the room, the hum of wind, the whisper of sea, moves faintly through them. It feels as though the earth itself breathes beneath his hands, subtle and steady. Every sense has quieted. The light feels soft against closed eyes, the sound of the sea steady and rhythmic, the warmth across the skin even and calm. There is no urge to move, no need to think. The body has reached a perfect stillness, each part resting exactly as it should. The weight of the hands, the curve of the fingers, the slow rise and fall of breath, all flow together into a quiet unity. The space around feels infinite yet safe, as if the night itself holds everything in its gentle presence. The keeper's breathing deepens once more. Each inhale brings cool air through the nose, down into the chest, expanding slowly, easily. Each exhale releases warmth, soft and full, into the surrounding air. The rhythm is natural, unforced, precise in its calm. The chest moves slightly beneath his steady hands, a faint reminder that even in stillness, life continues in perfect motion. His shoulders sink further, the muscles along his neck completely loose now. There is no effort left in the body, only rest, only quiet existence. The lantern's flame flutters faintly before steadying again, as if sensing the quiet energy in the room. The shadows that move across the walls grow slower, their edges softening with the dim light. The air feels thick with calm, yet light enough to breathe easily. The faint smell of salt lingers, cool and fresh, mingling with the scent of warmed wood. The heat from the stove remains constant, a steady anchor against the cool night air that slips through the cracks of the window. Every detail, the sound, the scent, the touch, belongs to this single moment of peace. The hands rest completely still now. Their warmth has settled, their weight grounded. The pulse within them beats softly, slow and steady, perfectly in rhythm with the ocean's pull. The keeper's awareness drifts between body and air, feeling the boundary between them dissolve. The heaviness of the hands becomes a quiet comfort, a reminder of presence, of being here, now, with nothing to do but rest. Outside, the sea continues its quiet motion, unchanging and eternal. The waves move in their endless pattern, and the wind shifts softly across the surface of the water. Inside, the air remains calm, balanced, and still. The warmth, the coolness, the quiet, all merge into a single, gentle energy that fills the space. The keeper breathes one more slow breath, feeling the rise of his chest and the stillness of his hands. The body now feels unified, heavy yet peaceful, held by the ground beneath and the air around. The weight of the hands is neither effort nor burden. It is comfort, the physical expression of rest. The warmth from the stove continues its steady work, surrounding everything with peace. The light from the lantern glows lower still, its flame small but unwavering. The sea hums beyond the walls, and the lighthouse stands quietly against the night. Nothing disturbs the stillness, The air feels sacred in its silence. The keeper remains motionless, his hands resting where they are, his breath light and unbroken. The weight of his body has become one with the chair, the warmth, the room itself. The night holds him as if time has paused completely. The world outside moves gently, but inside there is only quiet, a deep, endless calm. The heaviness of the hands, the rhythm of the breath, and the sound of the ocean's pull merge into one final moment of perfect peace, where everything that exists does so in harmony, steady and silent, under the soft light of a quiet, resting world. Chapter 9. Observe the keeper reading softly, voice measured and even. The night feels fuller now, layered in calm and quiet rhythm. The lighthouse stands steady against the endless horizon, its lantern sending a slow beam of light across the harbor and back again. Inside, the warmth remains, soft and low, coming from the stove that hums quietly in the corner. The air is still but alive, carrying the faint scent of salt and iron. The keeper sits at his small table, a single lamp beside him, its glow forming a circle of gentle gold around his chair. He opens a thin, worn book and begins to read. His voice breaks the silence not with force, but with care, each word measured and calm, rising and falling with the ease of breath. The sound of his reading fills the space in a steady rhythm, like the sea against the rocks outside. His tone holds no hurry, no strain, only patience. Each sentence flows into the next, clear and even, as if meant to be carried gently through the air. The pages are fragile and soft from years of turning, and the faint sound of his hand brushing against them joins the quiet symphony of the night. The flame of the lamp wavers slightly with each movement, sending light across his face, calm, focused, and peaceful. The keeper's eyes move slowly across the page. His reading is not for learning or duty now. It is for presence, for staying connected to the rhythm of the evening. His words are simple and steady, spoken in a tone that feels almost like breathing. Each pause between lines is filled with silence that stretches but never feels empty. It's the kind of silence that exists between calm waves or within the heartbeat of a quiet place. The sound of his voice lingers in the air even after he stops speaking, blending with the hush of the wind outside. The light of the lamp catches the texture of the book's pages, their surface slightly rough but familiar beneath his fingertips. He turns a page with slow precision, careful not to tear the fragile paper. The soft sound of it, folding over, echoes lightly through the room, small but distinct. The keeper's posture is relaxed, his shoulders low, his body still. Only his hands move, one resting gently on the table, the other following the slow path of each line. His lips move without urgency, his tone steady and deliberate, each word landing softly like drops of rain on calm water. Outside the window, the ocean continues its steady motion. The wind has softened to a near whisper, brushing past the glass without sound. The beam from the lighthouse sweeps slowly across the water, reflecting faintly in the glass near where the keeper sits. The light passes over him now and then, a soft glimmer that fades as soon as it arrives. His voice never changes pace. He reads as though the world itself has slowed to listen. The calm of his tone carries through the air like warmth, touching the walls, the ceiling, and the quiet space beyond. The pages describe nothing urgent, a description of weather, perhaps, or notes about the stars above the sea. Yet in his reading, there is comfort. Each word, though plain, carries the energy of calm order, the rhythm of a life lived in simple routine. The sound of his voice adds depth to the silence, making it fuller, more alive. He does not rush through his sentences. Instead, he lets them breathe, allowing the room to absorb their quiet presence. When he pauses, the only sounds that remain are the faint creak of the wood beneath him and the soft hum of the stove beside the wall. The light on his face moves as the flame shifts within the lamp. Shadows pass gently across his features, over his brow, along his cheek, beneath his chin. His expression never changes. It is serene, reflective, untouched by the passing of time. The book in his hand rests easily, the spine slightly bent from long use. His fingers trace its edge lightly before returning to the text. His breathing remains steady, each inhale deep and even, each exhale merging quietly with the rhythm of his voice. The warmth in the room grows softer now, settling into a steady balance. The lamp's glow extends just far enough to touch the edges of the table, the wood reflecting a faint, smooth shine. The faint scent of paper and oil fills the space around him, clean and simple. His words continue, each phrase low and clear. The sound travels across the room, touches the walls, and fades gently into the air. The tone is neither loud nor whispered, but balanced, as if perfectly tuned to the stillness of the night. As he reads, the sound of the sea fades further into the background. The waves still move, but their presence now feels more like memory than sound. The world outside the lighthouse is vast and dark, but here, inside, there is only peace. The keeper's words continued to flow, weaving calmness through every breath. The pauses between sentences are almost musical, carrying the same slow pulse as the ocean's tides. He seems unaware of time now, speaking as naturally as one would breathe. Eventually, his voice lowers even further. The words begin to stretch apart, longer pauses between each phrase. The book's pages catch the light as he reaches the final lines, and then, slowly, he closes it. The faint sound of the cover meeting itself echoes softly in the small space. He rests his hands on top of the book for a moment, the weight of it grounding him. His eyes close briefly, and the room holds complete silence once more, the kind of silence that feels alive, filled with warmth and breath and calm presence. The lamp's flame flickers slightly, then steadies again, sending out a faint circular glow that feels almost like the heartbeat of the room. The keeper sits still, breathing quietly, his hands motionless over the closed book. The faint sound of the sea returns, not loud, just enough to remind him that the world continues beyond these walls. His reading has filled the night with calm, and now the silence carries that calm forward. The air feels heavier with rest, the kind that comes after slow, steady focus. The room seems to hold its breath with him. The warmth from the stove lingers against his legs, and the coolness from the window brushes his shoulders. The two sensations blend into one perfect temperature, neither too hot nor cold, simply balanced. The shadows on the wall deepen as the lamp burns lower. The keeper leans back slightly in his chair, eyes open but unfocused, his breathing slow and even. The calm within him mirrors the calm of the space itself. The lamplight begins to dim further, the flame inside shrinking to a smaller shape. The golden hue fades into softer tones, leaving behind a pale glow that stretches faintly across the table. The keeper watches the light with quiet attention, as though reading its final lines. He exhales softly, his breath almost inaudible, his hands resting still atop the book. The flame flickers once more, its last full glow touching the pages and the wood before fading again into steady stillness. Outside, the lighthouse's main beam continues its sweep across the sea, strong and sure. Inside, the quiet remains complete. The keeper's voice, now silent, seems to linger faintly in the air, as if the memory of his tone continues long after the sound has gone. The warmth, the rhythm, and the peace he created through his reading stay within the walls, woven into the quiet hum of the room. The sound of the sea grows distant again, its pulse slower, softer, steady as breathing. The keeper sits still, surrounded by calm. His voice has stopped, but the echo of it rests within the silence, as if the words themselves have blended into the air. The light, the warmth, the stillness, all remain, untouched and peaceful. Nothing moves quickly here. Everything breathes in its own time. The room holds a quiet wisdom, the kind that only grows in places where silence and voice meet gently, where even the smallest sound carries the weight of peace. And as the final light fades, the night continues, calm, steady, eternal, with the keeper's quiet reading now part of its endless rhythm, soft as the sea beyond the walls, even as breath, and peaceful as sleep. Chapter 10. Ease into sleep as light dims and waves breathe out. The deepest peace comes not in silence alone, but in the slow fading of the day, when light begins to surrender and the world prepares to rest. The lighthouse stands steady against the horizon, its glow dimming with each quiet moment. The lantern flame inside burns low, no longer bright, only soft and golden, casting gentle shadows that move slowly across the stone walls. Outside, the sea breathes in long, patient waves that touch the rocks and withdraw with ease. The air has grown cooler now, carrying a light mist that brushes softly through the open window. The sounds of the night have become quiet companions. The whisper of water, the faint hum of the wind, the soft crackle from the last embers in the stove. Everything speaks of stillness, of slowing down, of letting go. The keeper sits motionless near the window, his body heavy with calm. His breathing matches the rhythm of the sea outside, smooth and unhurried. Each inhale draws in the faint salt of the ocean air, and each exhale releases the warmth that has gathered through the night. The dim light from the lantern reflects faintly in his eyes before fading as he closes them. His hands rest by his sides, the weight of them grounding him in quiet comfort. The wooden chair beneath him feels like an anchor, solid and sure, holding his body in perfect balance. The sound of his breath merges with the sound of the waves until both become one gentle, endless pattern. The light continues to fade. What was once gold now turns to soft amber, and soon even that begins to dissolve into darkness. The lantern's flame flickers once, then steadies again for a moment, before lowering to a quiet glow. The keeper can feel the change in the air, the warmth withdrawing, the coolness growing. Yet nothing feels cold or lost. It feels natural, the world preparing for its nightly pause. The waves beyond the lighthouse continue their slow rhythm, each one softer than the last, their sound blending into the faint hum of wind that circles the tower. The balance of sound and silence becomes complete, neither dominating the other. His body grows heavier, yet lighter in spirit. The muscles that once held quiet tension have fully released. His breathing has slowed into a rhythm that feels eternal, the kind of rhythm the sea has known since the beginning of time. The heartbeat aligns with that same rhythm, soft, steady, unchanging. The warmth from earlier still lingers faintly in his chest, fading with gentle patience. His head leans slightly to one side, the movement so subtle it's almost unseen. The quiet around him deepens, growing thick and soothing, like a blanket drawn across the senses. The flame in the lantern bends lower, its final light stretching weakly across the table, the wall, the window, and finally fading from sight. The room falls into half-light, where shapes still exist, but edges blur. The shadows have softened completely, melting into the walls, leaving behind only the faintest outline of the keeper, the chair, the desk, and the round window that faces the open sea. Through that window, faint silver light from the moon touches the surface of the water, and for a moment, it feels as though the horizon itself is breathing. The waves rise and fall with slow precision, their movement steady and soothing, as if rocking the entire world into sleep. Inside, the keeper's awareness drifts. His thoughts, if they still exist, have turned to images, fragments of light, small sounds, sensations of warmth and air. They have lost their edges, blending softly into the rhythm of his breathing. The room feels timeless now, untouched by the passing of hours. The air is neither moving nor still, but something in between, a quiet hum that vibrates gently through everything. The faint smell of the sea still lingers, and beneath it, the subtle scent of cooled wood and extinguished flame. The stillness deepens further, carrying him inward. His breath now feels lighter, almost invisible, but steady. Each inhale brings a faint, cool whisper of air into his lungs, and each exhale releases it as warmth, which disappears before reaching the air. The sound of the ocean grows fainter, not because it stops, but because he no longer listens with his ears, only with his whole being. The waves have become part of him, their rhythm indistinguishable from the rhythm of his chest. The sea breathes out, he breathes in. The sea draws in, he breathes out. The harmony is complete. Outside, the lighthouse beam continues its slow rotation, sending light across the water in a long, unbroken arc. The glow travels far into the dark, touches the waves, and disappears again, repeating endlessly. Its rhythm matches that of the keeper's heart, slow, steady, certain. The faint glimmer reflects against the window one last time before fading completely. The world beyond has now settled into full night, the stars hidden behind the faint mist that rests over the harbor. The only movement left is the ocean itself, breathing in soft cycles that never end. The keeper's body is still, his breathing shallow but peaceful. His hands rest exactly where they fell, unmoving, heavy, secure. The chair supports him fully. The floor beneath it holds its quiet strength. The warmth from earlier has faded into memory, yet the comfort it brought remains. The entire lighthouse seems to hum quietly with the sound of sleep, the wind through the cracks, the water at the base, the faint groan of wood expanding and settling. Every sound belongs to the same language of rest. The night grows deeper. The line between wakefulness and sleep has disappeared. The body feels like part of the air now, light, weightless, free. The sea outside breathes slower, and even the smallest waves seem to move more gently, as though respecting the stillness inside. The cool air continues to drift through the window, but now it feels softer, carrying warmth instead of taking it away. The rhythm of everything has merged into one: breath, water, wind, and the fading pulse of the light that once burned bright. The last glow from the lantern fades completely. Only the pale shimmer of the moon remains, its reflection scattered faintly over the water. The light no longer fills the room. It simply touches it, brushing faint outlines across the table and the wall before disappearing into shadow. The air feels pure, untouched, and the silence now holds a depth that seems infinite. The waves continue their motion, but the sound is low, distant, as if the sea itself is preparing to rest. The keeper's breathing slows until it's nearly imperceptible. His body has entered full stillness, but not from exhaustion, from peace. His chest rises and falls with perfect rhythm, and between each breath there is space. Wide, quiet, endless space. The mind no longer thinks, no longer listens, no longer separates sound from silence. Everything has become one single field of calm. The night, the sea, the air, and the man have all merged into harmony, steady and unbroken. Outside, a final gust of wind passes over the sea, brushing the waves into a soft sigh. The sound moves through the air, touches the lighthouse walls, and fades. The world seems to exhale with him. One last breath before full rest. The moon's light dims slightly as the mist thickens, softening every edge, every shimmer, every reflection. And then quiet, complete, deep, and true. The lighthouse stands unmoving, its light resting for the night. The sea continues its slow breathing, unending and kind. Inside, the air holds warmth where the keeper once sat. The calm he created lingering in every shadow, in every breath the room remembers. The silence is no longer empty. It is full of life, full of peace, full of the quiet that belongs to those who have surrendered to rest. The night has reached its stillest hour. The waves breathe out one final slow rhythm, as if whispering a lullaby to the sleeping world. The air carries their song through the open window, a sound soft enough to lull every thought into silence. There is no separation now between sea and sky, light and shadow, sound and sleep. Everything is one, steady, slow, peaceful. And as the darkness deepens, the lighthouse and the sea breathe together in perfect unison, guiding the world into quiet slumber. The last motion fades, the last sound softens, and the night settles into complete rest, calm, gentle, eternal, where even the smallest whisper of the waves becomes a lullaby, and every soul, like the keeper, finally eases into the peace of sleep.